Welcome back to Fireside Chat number 10, I'm told. Guys, there's a lot to say and very little time to say it, so let me get going. As you know, I think, we have targeted a reopening date of the 24th of May, which would be 2 weeks from Sunday, this past Sunday. We chose that because we tried to err on the safer end of the spectrum. So unless something happens, new news that we get, we plan to have a service here on site on the 24th. Now, with that said, guys, may I say to you, if you choose to come, you are taking a risk. How big a risk? We're going to try to minimize it as every way we know how. But there is a risk. You know, when this thing first started 3 months ago, I made the statement, I said, what does love look like? Well, for those of you who are younger and feel like you are indestructible, and you very well may be, there will be people here who are not. Therefore, we need to make or take steps to communicate love to everybody that shows up. One of the things that we have in mind is, of course, masks. We can't require you to wear a mask, but we really want to strongly encourage you to wear a mask. And again, you who feel that you're indestructible, feel like, well, I'm not going to wear a mask. Well, it's not for you. Think of it as for old people like me that you're protecting. Well, you're not trusting in the sovereignty of God, Dr. Young, because that virus is only going to go to where He says. Well, yes, I believe that. But ladies and gentlemen, there is a parable in the New Testament about I think it's called the Good Samaritan. And the role of the Good Samaritan was to not increase the wounds of the wounded, but to decrease the wounds of the wounded. So that's what we're trying to do. Mask is one step. We're still discussing the role of singing because, as you may know, singing broadcasts things further than simply normal talking. The people on the stage will be without masks to perform their task, but we're hoping that maybe we can give you some instruction and direction about singing before we get to the 24th. But for now, guys, we want to ask you to wear masks. Now, gang, I've been doing this, preaching to a warehouse for 10 weeks now, I think, or close to that. And it's weird. It's just doggone weird. And so your expectations when you come back on the 24th, you need to lower them. It's going to be weird. Looking around, we fully expect a third, if not more, of our congregation to stay away for, we don't know how long, but for several weeks at least. So don't expect this robust, room-filled audience. It'll be weird. It'll be fun to be back together, and I will certainly be glad to see you. I mean, when you go from a warehouse with nobody to a warehouse with 40, gosh, I feel like a full house. But just know that your expectations will probably not be met on those first few Sundays. Now, that's enough for now. We have at least one more fireside chat before the 24th, and we'll try to fill in some of those details to you then. Let me wrap this up with just a reference to the story of Job. I think you know who Job is and the great tale of what happened to him. But in chapter 1, you know, God says to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? And Satan says, yeah, I've considered him all right. But you put a hedge around him, God. You put a hedge around him, and no wonder he serves you. And at that point, God then gives permission to Satan to remove some of that hedge. My brother and sister in Christ, I would say to you, that we are living in an era where some of the hedge has been taken down. I'm asking you to focus on the hedge. Some of the hedge that we have been living with. I remember a song way back in my childhood. I think it was sung by Sam Cooke called "Summertime." The fish are jumping and the cotton's high. Well, the fish ain't jumping and the cotton ain't so high because some of that hedge has been taken down. But here's my point. I want you to concentrate on the amount of the hedge that hasn't been taken down. Yeah, things are difficult and different and odd and weird, and we wish they weren't like this. But think of the amount of the hedge that God has left around us. Some of us perhaps are suffering more than others. But there is considerable hedge still left up around us as God's people, known as Grace Evan. So when you're feeling woe is me, the hedge has been removed. Yeah, it has, some of it, but not all of it. And God is still guarding His people in a very significant way. Take comfort in that. Take comfort in the amount of the hedge that's still there. Can't wait to see you on the 24th, but for now, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night for church on Wednesday night.